This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online. Box of meat shows up at your doorstep. Local Coburns, Co-ops, Kowalski's locations as well. And it's all about supporting local. Now, they got to do their part. They offer elite product, which is important. But in the end, Clearwater, Minnesota's finest, this elite beef, you'll love it. Check out Thousand Hills. Check out JJ McCarthy this weekend, afternooner at U.S. Bank Stadium against the Houston Texans. A lot of the highest end players for the Texans won't be suiting up, so no Will Anderson, no Danielle Hunter. We know the names. Derek Stingley probably not going to play, but there's a big opportunity for Mr. JJ McCarthy, who spoke to the media yesterday. And first of many audio that I have for you here, he's talking about playing in a game is important for him at this point of his development, getting actual game reps under his belt.
It's high up there, because it's live bullets. And, feeling the rush and feeling a couple hits and bouncing back and having to make those smart decisions after those hits. And, I just feel like the crowd noise, even though it's at home, it's still loud in there. All the different little things that you have to, kind of adapt to as an offense. And, it's our first little test run. So we're extremely excited for it, and it's definitely high up on my rankings.
So seeing live action, a big part of it, but just kind of an analyzing his own growth in some respects along the way.
I believe I just grew in the offense, more and more. Each rep, there's so many new plays that we install. So just being able to get those experiences down and how that throw felt, how that route concept felt versus that coverage, all the little things that just keep, banking into that subconscious mind and being able to react and, play as fast as possible when it comes to the real test.
Now, one thing that's going to be not just interesting to see on Saturday, but how this kid's game looks once the games start counting is just using his legs. And he acknowledges that's a big part of it for what he does on the field.
You never wanted to speed up your thought process and, going through your progressions and all that. Obviously, you get a cover two-man look. You're kind of thinking of it in the back of your head, but you never want to speed things up. And I feel like there's a time and place, really, for me, when I put a shoulder down or when I slide, and it's a lot more times where I'll be sliding. But, adapting with the game, adapting with, how the rush lanes are happening and how contained they are. Yeah, it's definitely a huge part of my game that I would definitely utilize.
It's one thing you talk about athletic quarterbacks, and I just haven't really thought about it much with JJ, but kind of the idea of, when you're not confident, when you're not comfortable in the pocket, how quickly does a guy tuck the ball down and run? How quick is he to evade, right? And we saw that a bit with Caleb in his rookie season. Kyler Murray, not necessarily a guy that's going to try and run for 100 yards a game, but he's a guy that's very quick to bail out of the pocket. He'll back himself up. He's like 5'9", so he's trying to see down the field over the O-line, give himself space, right? So how much confidence is McCarthy going to have on Saturday? And then you hope it's a ton beyond. But in terms of sticking with the play, progressing through those reads, and not being too quick to use his legs, I think that's going to be a fun part of what we see on Saturday, and him working through that mentally against the Texans.
I can't remember when I said it because we say so much these days about football, but McCarthy running for 3 first downs on average a game is massive. I'm putting a number at 3. That's my number. All right. Doesn't mean it's the right number, but the premise is there. And doing it responsibly, whether it's called or whether it's required.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important to pull to loosen the string, so to speak, pull some heat off the passing game. And secondly, like I've said the last few days, is despite everything we all either see in practice or follow on social media or we see highlights, there have been problems at times with all levels of the passing game without Jefferson and now without Hockenson. And that includes McCarthy, where he's throwing the ball sooner than he prefers at times because the rush is on him. And then the feet get a little jumpy, and he'll jump around, and he'll jump himself into a sack like kids do. But the A topic for me through all of this is O'Connell and McCarthy and some other offensive coaches panic none. I mean, there just doesn't seem to be any, oh boy, geez.
Yeah.
What have we done? What have we done here? That's a zero. That's an absolute zero with the right people behind the scenes. Now, that's for now. Okay, but it's the reason. Well, so what reason does it matter? Why does it matter now? Because the narrative being established is that there's a major passing game related problem with the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't like that narrative. It's going to get your website clicks. It's going to get people to like and retweet via the X machine. But no, there's not. And for people to lay that out and tie video to it, that's because they want to get some laughs and some clicks out of it, which is totally fine. But to not include what would transpire if you had Jefferson in the mix or Hawkinson, well, that's lazy and that's irresponsible. So, no, the Minnesota Vikings passing game does not have a problem. It is going to be different than it was with Darnold and Cousins, and it will require maturation and growth. But if you don't expect that or see that right out of the gate, I don't know how you can't. I mean, just inherently to think it's like with the Lions. That's why the more I thought about it, the more I put time into it yesterday. If the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field can roll into that first regular season game and push a button and run up and down the field for 35 points and 440 yards of offense, most of it via the pass game, God bless them. If that's how it works, I guess it's that easy. Then we'll see if they do it again the next week, because maybe they've had all offseason to get ready for that game. All right, so what happens the next game that you haven't prepared for all offseason? I just don't think it's that easy. And same thing with this passing game, specifically without 18 during training camp, is I don't expect it to push a button and it's going to look like what it has looked like since O'Connell got here. But it will. It will. It'll be different, but it'll be the same.
Yeah. So essentially, for all of us talking about making the transition and the growing pains potentially associated with it, we'll see those, which is why Saturday is going to be awesome. Last audio bit for you have Vikes Bites style. This is another thing that just kind of pops into my head, kind of the pre-snap, the reads, and JJ's looking forward to this game on Saturday to kind of run through that as well. What happens before the snap and how he sees the game?
It's extremely huge because, there's a lot of run criteria cans that we have, versus different looks, and be able to go through that operation. Our defense, they hide a lot, they move a lot, so just being able to see somebody else and adapt to that scheme is going to be huge for just, our cadence of things, and working on cadence too, especially, in a loud environment that U.S. Bank is, even when it's the offensive side of the ball. But you got to work those cadence. We got to become, extremely efficient with all the little things pre-snap.
So I'm hoping maybe it's wishful thinking. I think Kelly had some kind of arm bit, Ryan Kelly, our new center. So, how they go into it on Saturday, the amount of work that Ryan Kelly has been putting in, and as important as he'll be to how JJ McCarthy sees the field pre-snap. I know we're not going to see, I would be shocked if we did, Darisaw, but I know we're going to see the rookie. I wouldn't mind seeing Kelly in there for a drive. I wouldn't mind seeing Fries in there. And frankly, at that point, why not just throw O'Neal in there for a drive or something like getting to see him behind the Minnesota moving company as most preferred as it possibly can be, even for a drive.
Yeah.
I would love that on Saturday. I don't know how it'll shape out, but I hope we get to see something like that.
Well, Darisaw has to be a 0%er.
Yes.
So the full-timers with the moving company, that's a 0%er. But it doesn't mean 3/5, maybe 4/5 of it can't be out there.
Right.
I'd protect Kelly. Because he's out, in and out of these practices more than anybody. So I wouldn't play him personally, but if they play him, that means that the sports performance department and the vice president, Tyler Williams, and the rest of the cats have completely signed off for like a series.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, man. If you can get School, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, and O'Neal one series.
One series.
Well, then you put most of them on ice.
Yes.
Then you come back with School, Jackson, Juergens.
Yep. Brandel.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. And Rouse. Okay. Oh. And Walter Rouse, by the way, has some badass to him. I mean, that's, we talk a lot about defense and about Taki Taimani and how he's grown and improved. Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez. Same thing with Walter Rouse. And people will see it in these preseason games.
That's cool.
He's faster. He's stronger. These kids get a chance to grow, man, and learn and take L's and subsequently have them lead to W's.
Do you think in the way that Ben Johnson's been planning for that offensive scheme, that first 15 against the Lions, week 2, do you think KO's been putting in some work in terms of, obviously at a much smaller scale? Yeah. It's a preseason game. But what he wants to put out there with JJ, now a year removed in a game in this situation. Again, not losing sleep over it. Yeah. But, and we saw the way that he prepped for his first ever game, the border battle, and that victory over the Packers. Mm-hmm. We saw that in 2022. I just wonder, he's like, if he's a confidence kid, and I have been going against, it feels like a defensive coordinator with a freaking axe to grind, and this front seven is just impenetrable. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm going to put something on D'Amico's crew on Saturday, and I'm going to get this kid rolling in the right direction and say, see, it's not always going to be as bad as it could have maybe feeling in Egan.
Well, yes, but I think the focus actually will be more on, I want to show you why we signed Sam Howell. I want to show you why we kept Brett Rippon. I want to show you, maybe when we get to Nashville, why Max Brosmer's here. But now that I think about it, the Vikings, see, like you look at that first game at Chicago, Monday Night Football game, Ben's first game, he's planned all offseason, he's super smart. Well, he has the Lions the next week.
Yeah.
Where is your mind, Ben?
His mind's on the kiddies.
Okay. I mean, it's the team that, what'd you expect them to do? Fire Dan and give you the job? Well, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened. But people, the arrogance leader is the NFL. The self-importance leader is the NFL. Yeah. That's how they think. Yeah, you didn't want me here. Why didn't you fire Dan and give me the 13 here? and watch us roll. So,
and I hope he doesn't think like that, but you're right. It would not be the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, we actually don't get Chicago at the worst time now that I think about it. All right, Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites courtesy of
Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
Let's pay off the season wins totals around the corner. I'm going to read through my Lion stuff super fast. Then we'll save the wild card stuff for tomorrow when we're at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Alec Lewis, a co-host of the Friday Football Feast, by the way, beginning the first Friday in September. I think in the business we call it the 5th at Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale. The feast is going to be different this year with Charch moving to Utah. Nordo and I are going to be there every single feast, and Alec Lewis will join us every single feast for at least 2 hours. And we debut that September 5th, Buffalo Wild Wings Oakdale, and we think you're really, really going to like it. But we've started it with Alec now, and he'll be on the radio show tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Might have the analyst near the end of the show at 11:15, 11:20. And but before that, we will handle wild cards in the division because I think it's a cool bit, and I think you'll like it too. The Detroit Lions, the Motor City Kitties, the target at which to shoot, the division champions, Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown. The over-under on those guys, 10.5, and they're awfully, awfully good. See which way 9 to noon thinks that season wins total will go when we return to 9 to noon on KFAN. Detroit Lions, how will all this turnover work out? Their season wins totals 10.5, new coordinators and coaches and offensive linemen, etc. The Sharps putting them on the Sharps, which would be which would be speculating / spotting up parlance for those who do it professionally and get it. And the Sharps are putting them on 10 or fewer because the total opened at 10.5 and the over was favored. Well, now it's flipped to, it's still 10.5, but the under's getting heavily favored. And that coincided with Frank Ragnow, all-pro center, retiring. Nordo is on the under, that I know, and has boldly and, in my estimation, accurately laid this thing out just in casual talking over the last few weeks to a month and change. All this change early in the season would have me mildly concerned, but the roster is still absolutely stacked, okay? Yeah. The offensive coordinator is John Morton. John Morton, not the Johnny Morton of partial Hawaiian descent, who used to be a wide receiver for the Lions. John Morton. 1-year offensive coordinator for the Jets in 2017. Before that, a USC offensive coordinator, 2009 and 2010. So here's the deal. Because the identity of the Detroit Lions is that of offense. With all due respect to Aiden Hutchinson. How is John Morton going to handle those big spots in which Ben Johnson thrived? Ben Johnson was really, really good with play calls in big spots. Also, it's his first year period with the Lions. So he's not like quality control guy who became wide receivers coach, tight end. He's not Stefanski. Okay, he didn't work his way up that way. I mean, he's worked hard in the league for a while, this John Morton, but it's his first year with this covenant. And their identity is that of offense. That's where the best and most key players execute their toil for the Detroit Lions. What is the center quarterback new play caller bit? What if the center quarterback new play caller situation doesn't go wonderfully early in the season? Will that take some time? What about their defense? Those safeties, Joseph and Branch, make up, find me a better duo. That's it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's the best safety duo in the NFL when you just use two. Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch.
Oh, wait, and they got Terry and Arnold a year older, and they pick up DJ Reed in the offseason?
DJ Reed was a terrific signing. Aiden Hutchinson is back in full throttle. DJ Reader is a good defensive tackle, but not having Aleem McNeil until October or November off the ACL, that's a problem. They are a pass rusher short.
Yep.
The Lions are a pass rushing threat short. And one absolutely cannot count on Marcus Davenport. Now, they've beaten Green Bay 6 of the last 7 times, but I think they're going to lose the opener at Lambeau. All of that is too much. Just everything we've laid out is too much off a blowout home loss in the playoffs, coordinator and coaching defections, Glasgow playing center, and to think one just plugs this in and they roll up 30 and stop teams third down after third down after third down, we'll see. 10.5. What should be the for sure wins for the Detroit Lions? Chicago at home week 2. Ben back at the spot for the first time. The Bears off Monday Night Football with travel. Can we call that Bears game a for sure win for the Detroit Lions?
I cannot.
Home openers for 15-win teams are supposed to be for sure wins against non-playoff teams.
Yeah.
I ain't calling it a for. Yeah, I'll say the Lions should win that game 75% of the time. But I think it should be higher. Maybe it will be one day, but not that day. For sure wins for the Lions, in my estimation, include Cleveland at home week 4, Giants at Ford Field week 12. Then, as we talked about earlier with Nacho, Dallas week 14 and Pittsburgh week 16. Are those absolute wins? I mean, they'll be favored. The Lions will be favored. I ain't calling them absolute wins. But nevertheless, they'll probably win them. How about the frozen tundra of the Bears to close things week 18? Ben Johnson maybe with a chance to dagger his former team's playoff positioning? Or dare we say, dagger their playoff hopes? I'm with Nordo. 10.5 is an excellent wins total number for the Kitties, but I'd shade the under because of all we have just discussed. Now, when they get Aleem McNeil back, that's going to help a bunch. And the belief is they will settle in. But with this new offensive coordinator, a tough division, and games at Baltimore, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Green Bay, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and the Rams, they ain't getting 11 this year.
No.
Nordo snipped it out, and now we dagger it. It's under 10.5 on the Detroit Lions.
Whew.
Speaking of the Bears, what do you got?
Yeah, well, the Bears, not as lofty expectations this year, PA. And I think I'm on the other side of it. Lieber did a great job breaking things down, in particular with Caleb Williams early on when he joined you last hour. So, but I'm kind of going a little bit different direction here because they're over under it sitting at 7.5.
Yes, sir.
And it's minus 120 over. It's minus 120 favored on the over, and it's even money to go under 7.5 victories. So do they win 7 or do they win 8?
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I look at the Bears, PA, I think in a few respects, you're believing in the Bears for similar reasons that you're believing in McCarthy and the Vikings, because you're looking at the commitment to the run and the investment in the O-line. And we got new QB, fresh vibe here, and new coach, fresh vibe there. But the new faces, specifically in Tooney, Dahlman, and Jackson against the interior of that line. And it's tough to remember this because we saw a lot of clomping around from the Vikings games with the Bears last year. But this is a 5-win team that after the bye, from late October through Thanksgiving, they lost on a Tyreek Stevenson L at FedEx because he's waving to the crowd and then he knocks it to Noah Gray or whoever it was. Or Northwest Field. I forget what it's named now. You lost on a blocked field goal against the Packers. You lost in OT to the Vikings. And then on Turkey Day, Eberflus and Caleb didn't know how clocks work as they were driving down to tie the game, run on a clock, and they lose on Thanksgiving. So it was it's the story of being close but far.
Yeah.
The defense conceded a ton.
Or as we discussed a couple of weeks ago, close but no cigar.
Close but no cigar.
Thank you.
It can't be I don't think it can be overstated, I should say. In some ways, the amount of incompetence at times that Eberflus and that coaching staff were offering this group. So big mountain to climb in terms of new scheme. And you heard it from the coach himself. We were playing the audio. He kind of sounds like he tore this offense. He tore Caleb Williams down to the studs, and we are rebuilding it. Mm-hmm. That all takes time. From the center exchange, we're talking about McCarthy and Kelly. What about Dahlman and Williams? So all that takes time. I get it.
And first overall picks in drafts being torn down to the studs, that generally goes over pretty well with said player.
Correct. So
yeah, I'm sure they don't have all the answers, do they?
Yeah, no kidding there. So on the defensive side, briefly, though, I do want to say they conceded a ton of yards, specifically on the ground, but they held really strong in scoring. And you can speak to the additions on the O-line, of course, Ben Johnson, et cetera. One of the biggest pickups for them, I think, just putting Dennis Allen in that spot.
Nailed it.
Ultimate respect for this dude as maybe one of the best acquisitions of anybody that they added to that team. And so you got to ask yourself if you believe that Ben Johnson can get more out of second-year Caleb than Eberflus got out of him the first time around. And I got to get... Oh, my goodness. I got to get to 8 freaking wins here.
What you got?
Well, how do I do it? So
you want to go over on the Bears?
I think I might be going over on the Bears, PA. So I'm going to lay it out. You can tell me whether I'm right or wrong on this.
Yeah. Well, let me just contextually try to tie together what you said because we're in a hurry. And it's not that you didn't do it, but I think what you're saying there is close but no cigar enough with a staff and or a leader that eventually got fired.
Yes.
That what's next plan with the maturation of the key players is going to lead to 3 more victories.
I believe that it can.
You just got to get 3 more. And, okay, well, how bad was it last year? So bad a coach got fired during the season. And I like how you laid that out, man. And they only need to get 3 more. Wow.
So I'm looking at it here. They kick off the season, PA, and they are hosting the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night.
Yeah, now, Vikings are going to beat them in that game.
I'm too biased, too much of a man-child, and I do think the Vikings win that game. But it is week 2 at Ford Field.
But you're not biased, and it has nothing to do with being a homer. The Vikings have a better roster.
They have a better team. They have a better team and a defense that is absolutely going to terrorize Caleb Williams. That center exchange is going to be a massive problem.
Thank you.
Opening night at Soldier Field.
Thank you.
I look at it's nearly a coin flip for me, week 2 at Detroit, because I believe early problems will persist for the Kitties as well. But then you host Dallas and you're at Las Vegas. If you can find 2 victories in those first 4, you're on your way there. But then you get the bye week. You're at Washington on Monday night. That's going to be tough. But they got some winnable games here. New Orleans. They're hosting the Giants.
But they almost beat Jaden in that outstanding rookie year on the road in a nationally televised game, and the Cane took the L.
Yeah, but you got fix the McLaurin problem.
Yeah.
Year 2 at Jaden.
Oh, Debo.
I think that thing looks a little bit different. They got Debo. Yeah,
Debo.
I think that's going to be a problem for the Bears. Dennis Allen's going to do his best.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dennis Allen, he's going to host New Orleans and absolutely destroy, whether it's Tyler Shuck or whoever the QB is down there.
Yeah.
What is it, Desmond Ritter?
They might go winless.
They potentially the Bears?
Yeah.
No, the Saints?
I mean, the 2008 Detroit Lions were 0-16, I believe. I think it was 08.
Yeah.
I mean, the New Orleans Saints seriously might not win a game the entire season, and I know they play in a division against Carolina. Big deal. I mean, how's this team going to win games?
Would you take a swing on 8-1 on FanDuel that they lose or that they go under 1.5? You can get 8-1 on under 1.5 for the New Orleans Saints
love
right
it.
now.
Yeah, love it. If they beat Carolina once, we can't be surprised. And then all of a sudden they're 1-15, and we're in some freaking meat grinder in week 18, and we got it. They're playing the Bucs or whomever. Oh, cool. Trask is the quarterback, and they're resting everybody for the playoffs. And Kyle Trask is terrible, and they get 2.
So the way that I dial this in for the Bears, and I think they can get to 8 here, is they host New Orleans, the Giants, the Steelers, and the Browns. I think they need those 4. 3 at a minimum. That being the Saints, Giants, and Browns.
Rodgers at Soldier Field.
I mean, he's actually pretty good.
I don't think he's ever lost at Soldier Field.
He's pretty comfortable.
Like his
actually,
entire life.
Fans. No, I don't think he's ever lost there. So you got to get 3 out of 4 there, and then you are at Baltimore, Cincy, Philly, and San Francisco. Can they get one of those? Yes.
Can
you get one, Bears fans?
Wow.
Can you get one? And
how are they going to get one of those? I mean, you need a Philly implosion, which can happen, and they can hate each other in 1 second and take an L. And
San Francisco injuries?
Yeah, and Brock Purdy. I mean, if Purdy ain't great early in the season, you're going to have people getting after look what you gave him. You overpaid him. We knew you shouldn't have done that, and we'll see how he handles that.
I think they absolutely have to grind this out, but if they get 3 of 4 from those bad teams at home or middling teams with the Steelers, can you get 1 of 4 against those big names on the road? And then just win 2 division games?
Yeah.
Whoever those are. Can you get one against the Pack specifically later in the season? Can you get one against the Kitties?
Yeah.
I think if you win 2 division games and you handle your business there, I think you can get to 8.
Ben might sweep the Lions.
I truly believe that I think Caleb's going to have his issues, and I wonder how that relationship forms, grows, and matures, or does it descend into the abyss at some point? Mm-hmm. But I just think you're looking at such a more tied-up offensive coach. You're looking at a terrific defensive coordinator. You're looking at a talented team that had right names, right places. Can that Roma Dunze relationship mature? They get Colston Loveland. The commitment to the run, the commitment to the O-line. This team was close and no cigar, as we were joking about. I think they can get to 8. I don't think that's insane that they can win 3 more games this year.
I'm ruling off fantasy football this year, so I don't believe I'm playing in any leagues.
Wow.
I might join Kevin Gorg for one that he's drafting right now, but I have no idea who's on our team. So for those of you who do play fantasy football and you like it, my touts for the Bears. And these 2, one of them is a must-have. I think with the way Ben Johnson does things and with the offensive line they have that's going to require maturation and improvement as they go.
Yeah.
Roma Dunze is an absolute must.
Yeah, it sounds like he's built to break out.
Well, I mean, because DJ Moore, it's you DJ Moore for show endo. Well, this Loveland, I don't know if he's going to be Laporta good, but again, super deep tight end draft. And was he the first taken? Yeah. I think he was the first or second taken.
Yeah, it was either him or Warren.
Okay, so I would want either Odunze or Loveland. Those are the only two.
Ooh.
Swift ain't Gibbs, all right, and Johnson ain't Montgomery. So those are the only two, if you're playing fantasy football, that I would want. Rome Odunze, because you can get him relatively cheap. Likewise for Colston Loveland. Back after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
We can't wait until tomorrow because we're going to get squared away for preseason game number 1. Is it a life changer? No, not for us. But you know what? For those playing in it, some people playing in it, preseason games have been known to change lives. Ask Chad Greenway. I mean, he's picked like 13, 14, 15, 16th overall in the 2006 draft. So has a great training camp. You know, the linebacker from Iowa all wound up and super excited to get out there and execute his toil in preseason games. And the very first play of the very first preseason game was against the Oakland Raiders at Metrodome in 2006. And boom! Preseason 2006 is in the air. Oh no, who's down? L. It was Chad Greenway, tore his ACL in the very first play of his very first game at the very highest level. And they lost the entire season. So that was life-changing. And then you get some players who play exceedingly well in preseason games, and you're like Ben Sims. I mean, holy cow, Ben Sims. How come he isn't our backup tight end? What are you talking about? Undrafted from Baylor. Who cares about Ben Sims? Just put him on the practice squad or just cut him. So they put him on the practice squad. L. Yeah, it's the Green Bay. Plays every single game. Who knew? So, yeah, these games can be life-changing. And we'll have it for you Saturday at 3 o'clock on KFAN. Nordo and I are at the TCO radio studio tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening. Here comes Big Daddy Khan with that wrap on the shop.
Time for 2 more.
Now, what did I do wrong?
The game is over.
All right. Wrote this in about 2 minutes. Sure, in real life, there are no absolutes, but while we run through the division, it's tough to refute. The Kitties are on the absolute schedule grind, and 8 wins for the Bears you can absolutely find. And with that said, enjoy running fourth. Toughest group in football is the North, and it's fun to watch, but to predict it's quite hard. Tomorrow we'll talk about particular wild cards. Now it's a chance to take a breath for a few, patiently waiting for JJ's Saturday debut. Chance to see him emerge from that smoke-breathing dragon at the bank, running bits and ripping with Hagen. And now tomorrow it's a Friday feast, football talkers and frivolity fodder at the least. Alec Lewis in the mix with Burson Pistol Pete. Oh, that's radio. Stay on the edge of your seat. Free agency never fails on the Quasi train.
Amen, brother.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
The day begins at the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club at Boston Logan Airport. You get the clam chowder. In San Diego, it's tostadas. New York, espresso martini. It's 10 a.m. Why not? It's the quiet before your next flight, the shower that resets your day, the menu that lets you know where you are. This is access to over 1,300 airport lounges and every Sapphire Lounge by the club. And one card that gets you in. Chase Sapphire Reserve, the most rewarding card.
Learn more at chase.com/Sapphire Reserve. Cards issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC, subject to credit approval.